Hello, everybody. So my name is Mitchell, and this is my colleague Sergio, and we will be presenting our SkinX workshop on the basics of presenting a poster. So first, a little spring semester review from the following the previous workshops. So we want to identify the key term that is described in each statement, and this will be like a little activity for all of us. So these articles are written by experts and are reviewed by several other experts in the field before the article is published in the journal in order to ensure the article's quality. So what would this be out of the key terms?
Peer-reviewed articles?
Yes, peer-reviewed articles. Good job. So the next one, oops. The next one is a concise summary of a larger project that describes the content and scope of the project and identifies the project's objectives, methodology, findings, intended results, or conclusions. Does anyone have any idea what key term this is?
The abstract.
The abstract, correct. Thank you. So we'll go on to the next term. So this is a process to discover new knowledge, and it's a systematic investigation that includes methodology, data collection, and data analysis. What could this be?
Research.
Definitely, this is research. Next is, oops, a little out of order, but this is ethics, and ethics involves the application of fundamental ethical practices to research activities, which includes the design and implementation of research. And that is ethics. So next term, everyone is unique and different by multiple and intersecting identities such as gender, sexual orientation, social, economic status, age, ability, religious beliefs, political beliefs, or other ideologies. What could this be?
Diversity.
Diversity, correct. And then for the last one, these articles or reports that are not always peer-reviewed, but are research focused, reporting results of original research and experimentation.
Is it a research report?
Correct. Not all research is published, but they are research reports, whether it be in class or out of class when you work on a project. So for today's seminar, after reviewing, we will be going on about the basics of preparing a research poster, the purpose of a research poster, key components of a research poster, and some tips for designing your research poster to make it presentable in a conference setting. So first of all, what is a research poster? A research poster summarizes information or research concisely to help share ideas and generate discussion. A poster is usually a mixture of brief text mixed with tables, graphs, pictures, and other graphic visual presentation formats. And during a research presentation, the researcher and attendees gather by the poster display, and participants come and view the presentation and interact with the researchers. So it is very common in a conference for students to walk around or faculty to walk around and want to learn more about your project. So this is an opportunity for you guys to share your work and to pretty much showcase what you've been doing this whole semester. And it's also a great networking opportunity to make new connections. So why present your research? First, you gain experience in presenting your work in a formal setting. Everyone can use public speaking experience, and this is great exposure into the real world or into graduate school. You'll also receive feedback from faculty and peers where they will kind of, they'll let you know what you can do in future research or some of the limitations of your study. and how you can refine and perfect your craft. Next is you can share ideas and learn from other researchers, and such as like having networking opportunities. Maybe you can go on to another project later on. And lastly, you can enhance your resume. This is something you can put on your CV, especially when applying to graduate school, or if you want to, just talk about the experience when you have an interview for a job in the industry in a similar related field of your research. So what is the purpose of a research poster? So the first video is going to talk about how to design a research poster, and we're going to quickly watch this.
As the number of research posters at conferences are increasing over the years, and audiences tire of oral presentations, the knowledge of how to make research posters becomes ever more pressing. This video will show you the essentials of making a research poster. Basically, the function of research posters is to convey information and research findings in a visual format. At conferences, it often allows for a more interactive process with the audience, attracts their attention with visual graphics, and allows them to view finer details at their own convenience and choosing. Careful planning is imperative for a successful research poster. It is a good idea to get into the habit of preparing visual and textual materials as your study progresses. Periodically look over your study to gather materials such as charts, graphs, photos, and other visual data, as well as to condense your text into manageable sections. Ask yourself questions such as, what is the objective of this research? How have I gone about conducting the research? What problems did I encounter? And what results did I obtain? These questions will help you synthesize your research into the concise standard format of research posters. Usually, it is customary for a research poster to include the following. Title, to indicate the title of the project, people involved, and their affiliations. Summary, to state what you've set out to do, how you've done it, and the key findings and results. Introduction, to name the objective, problem to solve, things to discover and establish, and the project aims. Methodology, to state the basis of techniques used. Results, to show examples of main findings. Conclusion, to summarize the research findings. Crucial points to keep in mind for a research poster are clear organization and a concise central argument. Focus on findings that support your argument and validate your conclusion. Do not try to include the entirety of the research process. In the next video, we will be looking at the basics of designing a research poster.
Okay, I hope that gave you guys a decent overview of how to design a research poster. And in the next slide, we're going to be talking about what does a research poster include. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to my colleague Sergio, who will go over the title, authors and institutional affiliation, abstract, introduction, methods, results, findings, discussion, conclusion, references, acknowledgements, and contact information in the next half of our presentation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mitchell, for introducing what goes on the research poster. So we have this template that we will provide to you in an email. It will be an attachment in case you want to use this. But this is not end all be all. This is your poster, but we just want to include the sections that should be there. Not every section will be applicable in your research study, but let's just go over these, right? So can you press the title? So the title, keep it brief, concise. It should be 10 words or less. Work with your faculty mentor, work with your chair, whoever is helping you with this, to make a title that is not only interesting, that is captivating, but also explains what you're trying to do in your research. Authors and affiliation, names and individuals that should be contributed to their institution, and also have your faculty sponsor there as well, who sponsors your research and is holding you accountable and guiding you through this process. Abstracts. As our previous workshop went over, an abstract is 150 to 250 words, so it should be straight to the point and include the essential components reviewed during our abstract seminar. The introduction. You want to introduce your topic or issue, what is the purpose of your work, and provide any critical information needed for the audience to understand your topic. This is a short, brief introduction to what you're researching and why you're researching it and why it's important to your field. Methodology. How did you do this research? This section outlines the methods, procedures, data collection, and materials of your project. Feel free to use any images, charts, or graphs that will help your viewer understand your project. This is basically saying, this is how I got to this research. This is how I conducted the research. This is the type of data I collected, and basically how you did it. And a lot of people, if you're looking at your poster, they're going to be very interested in how you collected your research, and they may ask you questions on that. Results/findings. But not every project, not every poster will have a results section. Maybe you have anticipated results or predicted results, right? So you want to outline your key findings or your hope to find of your research, and utilize examples of your data to support your findings, such as interview quotes, charts, or tables. This section is going to be very different depending on the type of work you do. If you do work, qualitative work, and you're doing a lot of interviews and focus groups, you're probably going to have a lot of quotes up talking about an experience they had, or some themes that you saw along the way. If you are doing a project on like aerospace, you'll probably have pictures of the lab results, of the materials you use, or just real life applications of these items. So this is going to be different in every single project you have. Discussion and conclusion. How do your results apply to real world activities or applications? Let's say you have a project around the type of material that works best on an airplane. How can you apply those materials into the real world industry today? Are they viable options? Are they cost effective? Like, what can you say about the findings, and how is it relevant to future work? Acknowledgements. You want to credit all the individuals who provided support in completing this work. Again, it's all up to you who you want to include. I wouldn't say it's too super important, but if you want to give a shout out to whoever helped you, to whoever gave you access to something like a research site, this would be the place to do it. On references, you're not going to cite every single reference, but if you have references in the introduction or the discussion that you have like a little, like a 1 or 2, you want to put it here, but everything else, it's just going to go in your report. So yeah, so that's the components to a research poster. And again, everything's going to be different, but now that we understand the anatomy of it, we're going to learn how to put it together using this video.
Even if you're not invited to speak at your next scientific meeting, you still have a great opportunity to share your results and wow your fellow scientists at a poster session. A well-designed poster that efficiently gets across your main ideas can make the difference between a lackluster showing and a standout appearance. Here, we'll go over some things to consider when making a research poster, from content and organization to increasing visual appeal. The number one mistake of scientific posters is to pack in too much information. Even the most interested visitors to your poster are not prepared to stand for half an hour and read the entire thing, so make it easy for them to get the gist. You don't need to include all the information you would in a manuscript, and you don't need to use full sentences. Use bullet points. Justifying your text on the left side can help make it easier to read. And as always, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Your figures are the heart and soul of your poster. Use them to your advantage and don't bury them with large blocks of text that no one will read. Structure is just as important to a poster as it is to a paper. Present your ideas in a logical order, with your poster layout facilitating this organization. Keep in mind that people naturally read from left to right and from top to bottom. One popular option is to split a horizontally oriented poster into 3 columns. Regardless of the pattern you choose, make sure it's clear to readers where to start and end. In designing your poster, don't be afraid of white or negative space. If you fill every inch, your poster will look cluttered and be hard for viewers to take in. In fact, as much as 40% of your poster should be blank. Use this space strategically to draw attention to your most important messages. Color can really liven up your poster, but be selective. Only use 3 to 5 colors and avoid ones that are too bright or print poorly. Don't even think of using patterns or dark colors for the background. These can be distracting, hard on eyes, and will also make your figures look bad. Keep it simple. White is the easiest to work with and the cheapest to print. Even if your poster looks great and includes the right level of information, if the text is too small, you'll annoy visitors and drive away your audience. A good rule of thumb is to have everything easily visible from 6 feet away and nothing smaller than 24 point. Avoid unprofessional fonts such as Comic Sans and don't include too many different fonts. It will give your poster a chaotic look. For your body text, it's usually a good idea to choose a serif font. Those are the ones with the extra strokes at the end of letters, like Times New Roman, which are easier to read when small. For titles and headings, pick a non-serif or sans serif font, such as Arial or Helvetica. Short and sweet titles are usually better. Because many conference attendees scan the poster session titles to find the presentations they don't want to miss, a good title that conveys your message and a well-written abstract can really draw people to your poster. Don't assume a cell-worthy figure can simply be slapped onto your poster. Simplify your graphs and provide titles and even arrows to help your readers along. Consider relabeling your images with more general descriptions so that scientists from outside your specific field will still get the basics of a given experiment. And summary figures do wonders for giving passersby the gist of your work. If it's artfully done, they might even stick around to hear more. Of course, remember to think about how to present your poster as well. An attractive design will still fall flat if you get flustered trying to explain it, but master both and you're set to be a hit at your next poster session.
Awesome. So that was a really great video that showed a few tips on what not to do, what to do. And a lot of it came down to the design of the poster when you put it all together. So we're going to have a short activity looking at a few examples of some posters. And I just kind of wanted to get your initial thoughts on this first item if the participants want to share some feedback. What do y'all think about it?
I think like the colors are too contrasting and it makes the poster look a little bit messy.
Yeah, the green background, and it's not uniform, right? You see the angles on it. It kind of cuts off around the text, makes it a little hard to read. What were you gonna say, Amara?
The wording is too small and it's just like a lot of information on one poster.
I agree. It's very hard to read, especially like you're gonna have a lot of people walking by. This is almost all text, so there's not enough figures. And the one thing I will say is like the one picture in the middle, I don't think it really adds anything to the presentation. It's just a graphic. So I think that'd be it. But I'm sure it's really good work. Do y'all want to move on to the next one, Mitchell? This one. Initial thoughts on this one?
This one's a bit overwhelming for me just because there's a lot of things going on and it's not really structured. Things are kind of all over the place.
I agree. There's no clear map of where to start reading and where to stop reading. And there's a lot of information too. What do you think, Mitchell?
Yeah, it seems like a lot, like it's hard to follow. And I know in the video it says goes from left to right, but for me, like, yeah, it might go left to right, but the figures are all over the place. It should be like right next to the results, so you kind of know what to look for. And I think that's what makes the poster a bit messy.
I agree. Also, the spacing between each, they're all like almost like right next to each other. I feel like having a little breathing room for each section would help a lot. And if that means like cutting down on the text or cutting out a graph, that's what you got to do. But again, check in with your faculty sponsor for designing posters. What about the next one? Oh, this one looks good. What do y'all think?
I think it's pretty organized. Like you can see, it starts off with the abstract from the left, and then it goes down to the background and then methods. I think it's well structured.
I agree, and it's because they use the template we will provide you. And if you look at it, like the pictures they have on the right side, in the middle, and the lower middle, I think they all add something to the design aspect of it. If I'm walking by and I just see that picture, I go, oh, what is this? And then I read the title, and then I stick around for more. So I think it is very organized in the way that they lay out their information, and they space it all out, and it's very formulaic. It's very easy to read. You want to go to the next one? Okay, so that's gonna be it. Wait, go back one. Is that it? That's the last one. All right. Any feedback on this one?
I really like this one. I think the colors go well together, and there are a lot of words, but it's not too much that you can't really understand anything. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really easy to follow, and the graphics really help.
I think for me, one suggestion is to make the titles more traditional, as if you're writing like a scientific journal. But the layout is really nice. Like I agree what Natasha was saying, but I think changing the titles would help the flow of the poster as well.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. I think this one's really nice. I like the colors on it too. I think it's a very pretty poster. But they didn't make the mistake of making it all green. They definitely put the white background between the behind the text. So I think that definitely helps. But I think this one's really good. What about the next one? Or is that it? That's it? Nice. Okay. So now that we looked at a few examples, some good examples, some examples that need to improve, I think you have all the knowledge you need to begin making your own poster. So the first step you're going to be doing is preparing and gathering the text, images, tables, graphs, quotes, whatever you're going to include on your poster together on a Word document, on Excel, whatever you need to keep yourself organized so you can plug it in, right? That's why we have the template for you. So to create your hours poster, you will use the hours template shown in the previous slide. This template will be available to you via email. We'll make sure to email you as an attachment to this workshop. And you're going to insert, paste the text, images, graphics to the template, right? So if you don't have enough space, maybe you move something around or you cut down on the items. So for the upcoming, for next year, for hours, we will print your symposium poster. So feel free to change the colors of the template, but keep the essential structure, dimensions, and logos unaltered. It should be unaltered because that's how it prints best. That's how we want it to look. That's how it should look. But again, this is your poster. Use your best judgment in designing it. So some key takeaways. Some key takeaways for presenting your research. You are the expert. You probably know a lot more about your research experience than anyone else does just walking by your poster. Of course, you're not a doctor, you don't got everything, but you know a lot more than you think. So take that as part of your confidence while presenting. Stand on one side of your poster. Don't stand in the middle. You don't want to, so like if the poster's right here, you don't want to be looking at it and just turning around. Stand to the side, and if you have to look that way, but you want to be talking to the person. It should be a conversation at the end of the day. So stand on one side of your poster and treat it like a conversation. You want to engage with your audience, allow audience to ask questions, because a lot of the big part of presenting research is feedback, right? You want to have your audience asking questions and think about, oh, did you think about doing this? And especially in conferences like ours or you're at, it's very interdisciplinary, where someone in an education field could talk to someone in aerospace field, and we're like, oh, did you ever think about it this way or this way? And it could really rework the way you think about your subject. And lastly, practice talking about your research. For each section of your work, be able to concisely summarize each section in 1 to 2 sentences. You ultimately, maybe like 2-3 minutes to be able to talk about your research, because people are going to be going and moving. You're not the only poster presentation there. People want to keep moving. So just get the key points out and be able to summarize it and allow for people to ask questions about it. So I think you guys are ready to present research, prepare and practice for common open-ended questions. So tell me about your research. What is the key takeaway? I think these are all great questions that someone is bound to ask you, and maybe just talk about it to yourself, talk about it in the mirror, just practice these questions because you're bound to get these. Be enthusiastic about your work. You spent a year, a semester, however long about your work. Bring some energy to it and just be able to talk about it. Also, it's going to get loud, especially at a poster presentation conference. So practice projecting your voice. You should be able to talk to someone within 6 feet. And lastly, dress professionally, right? I'm not saying you got to dress like suit and tie, but you want to look presentable. You want to be someone who represents not only your research, but the institution you work at if you're going to a conference where you're going to other institutions or other universities that do research like this. So you want to put on your best thing, because you never know what type of opportunity you're bound to get in these situations. Next slide. Or is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Well, thank you all, everyone, for tuning in. If you have any questions about any of the material we talked about today, please email us at aa-hours@cscob.edu or come visit us at SSC 120. Thank you.